Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Minchie with System Surveyor. I would like to welcome you to today's joint webinar with Ganz, NAPCO, and System Surveyor, a case study of best practices. I would like to welcome our speakers today, Brian, David, and Jamel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Or afternoon.
Brian has been in the industry for over 20 years as a field applications engineer. He has spent 15 years working for CBC America with their Ganz line of security offerings. David has been in the security industry for 42 years. He has extensive field experience on large-scale projects with federal and corporate clients, and is an access, video, and intrusion integrated solutions specialist. I would also like to introduce Jamel, who's been with System Surveyor for a year as our customer success manager and has 3 years of experience in customer success and support in the SaaS business world. So let's discuss the game plan for today, which is to learn about Ganz products, the importance of collaborative system designs, the best practices and tips for co-designing with System Surveyor and Ganz, and finally, a Q&A section toward the end. A few housekeeping items. Please note that participants are placed on mute, but at any time during this session, feel free to use the Q&A icon or the chat function.
I'll take this one. Oh, a little background on Ganz Security. We're a division of CBC America LLC, which was established around 1970. So we bring about 50 years worth of experience with the security industry. Product offerings are our video management solution, Ganz Control, AHD, high definition analog cameras and recorders, IP-based digital cameras, as well as DVRs and embedded NVRs. I'll pass it on.
Thanks. Thank you.
And I'll take this one. So as some of you may know, System Surveyor is all about collaborating to come up with the best solution. So we like to bridge that gap between enterprises and organizations to the systems integrator, as well as the manufacturer and or vendor that you may be working with. So as stated, System Surveyor is a collaborative system design platform, helps you visualize and co-design with your customer to win more jobs. Some of the benefits that we've heard about from our customers are there's increased sales collaboration, doubles the sales productivity, increase in profit margins as you're saving time, and reduce implementation times because you're able to share that information with everyone that's involved in the project. I'll pass it over to David.
Good morning. So again, my background, I come from the field. So I spent a lot of time working large projects, and documentation was always critical to a successful implementation. And through my efforts in different projects I worked on, we worked on some jobs where we had stacks of blueprints that were a couple inches thick that covered the entire project, and everything was documented. The CAD time involved with that was monstrous to even begin to wrap their heads around at that time. So there were entire teams dedicated to that. Oh, that was a lot. System Surveyor I saw for the very first time in the field, working for an integrator in Florida, and discovered it in just September of 2015. It was a 3-month-old baby at that point, and phenomenal even at that stage. New developments and expansion have brought it to what it is today, and it's just a game changer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen and my iPad so you can see what I've got going on, what I would typically run with, and using my app. There we go. And this is what I would typically see in an average commercial layout that I'm working with. And I'm doing a camera design for the customer. So customer and I talk, the salesperson. I'm out there collecting the information. I don't have to be a highly technical person, but I just need to know the parts, what I'm looking to put certain places. So I look here on my design plan. I've got a camera that's over here in the hallway here, and that is looking at down a given hallway. I've got another camera here looking at from a different direction. So I've got two lays of land for that. Upper left-hand corner, I got a camera out here that's out on the outside of the building. It's fine, that's a PTZ camera there. Down the lower left-hand corner, I've got another fixed camera down here, and then the last camera here is over looking at my lobby. But in my design elements, as I go through, I take a camera, I'm able to select over here on the left-hand side and pull down my items. If I have a fixed camera that I want to put somewhere, I select that camera and I can drag it out here on the screen anywhere that I want to put to have my view. From there, I can take that camera view and adjust where it's going to be seen, how the view is going to be. Maybe I'm seeing some overlap and I don't want that to take away from the field of coverage of an adjacent camera. So maybe I'll change the color of that to something so that it stands out differently so I can see separation. Optional, but it's flexibility. But when I'm done with that and decide what I'm putting there, I can have that camera then move it maybe aside and put it over here instead. So placing cameras and devices on the map or your floor plan is wicked simple. But what really the power starts to come in is when I take a given camera and I say, all right, I've gone up here and determined that this camera that's going to be located in this particular spot has a view that looks like this. And I tell them on here, I draw, because I can draw on this any way I want to, and I can draw on this picture and I say, I want the camera right there at that point adjacent to that door. The area in front of it in that green box, that's what I care about being the dominant view in that camera. Anything that's not that view is not my primary. I want to make sure I'm covering that green box. That information now is visible to the technician. So now the technician, where's the camera go and what am I supposed to look at? More importantly, this aspect as you collect these and go through, you're just talking with the customer. They're already telling you right then and there, the camera here, they're weighing in on that, but they are weighing in on what they care about seeing. And right there, you can draw. Is this what you want to see? Yes, that's what I want to see. That means the technician, when he puts the camera on the wall and he aims it, he makes sure that's the dominant focus in the camera shot. You're not spending time going over camera shots with the customer. That was done before the tech up to the job site. Efficiency. But I can also tap in and put in my specifications on the camera that I might be looking to put there. Although that's an access camera, shouldn't have been there, but maybe I'm looking at a different camera. So I go up here and say, well, no, what I want to have is, I want to have not a pinhole camera. I want to have a mini dome. So I put this mini dome in here. Now what I wind up having is my documentation for the camera that I was actually putting in that location. So in here gives me all my details. So this is all part of the entire living document that's accumulating that can be printed out. And all this is a cohesive workflow document with all the details. So the technician's able to see the cameras going there, but just as importantly, so does the end user. As I look through, I've got details down here as far as what the make and model is of the camera, whether or not I have an MSRP price that I place in there so I can get a budgetary number of what this is. I can populate that into my camera profiles and put my MSRPs on those. But installation hours, I may look at this job here and I say that's a 1 hour installation. Well, maybe because of mitigating circumstances where that's actually going to turn into a 2 hour installation. As easy as that. I'm able to look at the complexity of the install and adjust the hours needed to do it more granularly. And that affords me the option to more accurately put my quote together. That's going to increase my margins better. My installation details, it's like, who's responsible for the camera? Well, the installing company, I select that. But if you have the technician, you're putting a camera there, it may be the customer has that camera already. So you'll be able to denote that the camera has it, the tech knows, go to the customer because that camera the customer has. Do I need a lift there? Is it a high traffic area? Well, that's a hallway. It looks like that could be a high traffic area. The tech might want to know that so you can plan accordingly. Is it hazardous? Is it what type of mounting surface? So I'm able to go into all the granular detail of these items here and read through. So there's no miscommunication on what the execution of this installation be for that camera, or whether it be for this camera over here and what I have going on with that camera, Let's see, there's one wild over here. I can vote it for that one. Here we go. So looking at another spot, I'm looking at an office, same here. But I've changed up now. Don't want it on the wall this time, want it on the ceiling. And my area of concern again is that green framed out area there. I'm concerned about that area of traffic. Now, this is all nice. I can go in here and work and put my cameras here and collect all the information. But then there's other items that goes along with the design that it's expected the technician to execute. And then what I'll do is I'll wake up some of my layers in here and show that, well, granted, yes, I've got my cameras here, but what I haven't denoted in here for detection to see is where are my servers and my workstations. So over here, I'm showing that my server is going here inside this room. And not only that, I'm showing the picture here. This is the space it's going to occupy on the rack. So now there's no question where it goes in the rack. That was agreed upon. The picture was taken and it was noted. That's efficient. No questions asked, just do. As I go in the movie recently, don't think, just do. I'm showing over here to the one side, I've got a workstation over here located. That workstation is in my lobby area. And I want that lobby workstation. That's going to have the ability to see cameras. And I got another workstation over here. And this workstation is also going to have the VMS. So I've got not only showing where my server is, but I'm denoting which office is the text to go to make sure software is installed on workstations. And the last piece of the puzzle for me as I'm working and everything is deciding, well, where are all my cable runs? So I can factor in my cable runs. I can take this particular cable run here and bring its attributes up from the bottom of the screen here. And I'm able to see in here that this particular wire run is looking to me to be 49 feet long. I can put in details. Did it need to be plenum? Did it need to be PVC? Is it an underground cable, an aerial cable? Every bit of these details matter, and they all slow down the process when nobody knows the answer and they have to stop and go ask questions instead of just doing the work. So I can have all the details of that, my installation, who is putting the wire in. Oh, there's a third party running the wire. Okay, well, then the tech's not focused on that, but where's the third party with the wire? They know the questions to ask. But that classic where everybody wants to have service loops, how much extra wire? I go out here, I see these things, but they want a 15-foot service loop at the head end. It's like, how much chopping on that wire you think you can do? But if there's a criteria and a specification for it, you can call it out here so the technician knows exactly how much wire to loop as the service. Is any of that going to be in conduit? What percentage of that wire is going to exist in conduit? Because did we factor in the cost of conduit? Bottom line is it buries all the little details, the minutiae, the nuts and bolts, if you will, into something that I can then, when I'm complete with, save that document. I can take and go back and I can export that to a report that'll print out in its entirety to share with the technician. But maybe I'm still not done and making some changes. I can invite the customer to be able to log in and review this, and we can work collaboratively online going over this as well. So it becomes a more common platform for the end user and the salesperson to discuss and document on, but in such a way that it's framed so that the execution details are there and the technicians are able to deliver. Just more work and less time because they're not stopping to ask a whole bunch of questions that really were talked about. They just weren't, there was no way to document them effectively, so it didn't happen. But I used this as my last integrator. And I think when I left there, I had 19 people in the company using it. And we had about 360 some odd surveys that were in there. My personal experience, every proposal I put together and put in front of a customer turned into a sale. 100%. Because when this printed out and they saw this, it looked like we spent an immense amount of time putting this all together, and the app was just making it look good. But that was my experience with it. Your experience said bottom line gives you a way to collect that information, put it in a single spot. It's accessible from the web. I did another site survey where we went out. I went out to Nebraska to walk down a site, and I collected all the information. Went back to a Starbucks. I have cellular on my iPad. Hopped on the Wi-Fi, uploaded the information. By the time I got back home to my Florida office, my other project manager already had the job all built out because he had all the pictures, he had everything he needed. It was all there. All he had to do was look at it, make decisions, fill it all out. We were able to turn the proposal around in record time. But including all the deliverables that need to be along with the spec sheets, et cetera, can all be put in there. So you want a better documented deliverable and a living document for follow-up or service. That's the difference in the workflow. And it can change how you do things and bring a higher quality to your deliverable and better dialogue with your customers. Because pictures worth 1,000 words. Bill, we go in here and look at pictures on here that you documented along with the customer. It keeps everything above board, which helps too. You said it's not here. We agreed. So it just gives you a good working document. That's what I have on that. You turn it over to questions for people and see where we go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks, David. So yeah, now that was wonderful. Thanks for showing us some insight into how you use System Surveyor, better ways to use it. That was amazing. So now we'll open it up to Q&A. So I see we do have one question in the Q&A section already, and I'll take this one. The question is, are there permissions for the customers we send links to? For instance, can we make it so that they can see it but not change anything? Alternatively, is there a track changes feature so that we would see if the customer changed something without notifying us? So yeah, there is a way. And let me share my screen here just really quickly. And so when you are inviting someone in, so now my screen is on there. When you invite someone into, it is going to be site specific. So you can invite them into the site, and that's the only thing that they'll be able to see. They won't be able to back out of this site, go to one of your other sites that has a completely different job, get in there, change things. It won't be able to do that. It'll be site specific. And when you invite them, you'll click right over here on contacts. You'll hit new. You'll fill up their first name, last name, email, any of the information that you're wanting in there to know who this is. Then you toggle this switch down at the bottom, invite as guest. You can either set them as edit, which allows them to go in, create surveys, add elements, delete elements. So you want to be very cautious about who you invite with edit permissions. But you'll typically want to use read only. This will allow them to go in, look at things. They'll be able to click into the survey, see the attributes, see some of the pictures that you've attached. But they won't be able to change anything. They won't be able to add comments. They won't be able to change anything. But you can then also set a custom expiration date. So maybe you want to give them a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, or maybe you're in a rush. They kind of like to take their own time. So you want to say, hey, you got till Friday to get in there and look at things. You can do that. So you can set it till the 30th or however long and give them that time to go in and look at a specific survey. Once you do that, if you wanted to view any of the changes, you simply come over to the survey under the survey info and then activities. This is where you can see what was performed and then action and then where it was performed at. So if they were coming in, you gave them edit permissions, they were coming in to make any changes. If they were to save something, it will pop up here and you'll see a date, time, and exactly who did it. So that way you can go in and say, hey, why'd you change this? What'd you change? You can hold them to some sort of responsibility there. So we do have another question. How can I create, the next question, how can I create appropriate scale for positioning camera distances when starting a fresh design? Absolutely. So that process is going to be when you start a survey, you hit new survey, you select how you're going to start your survey. I'll just do a local resource here. And go to some of my demo floor plans. And we'll just do this one here. So once you have that set, you'll then go into, of course, you can name it, put a location, address, description, survey label, choose where you want this to be. Then you can hit crop and set scale. So this is where you can crop it. Maybe you don't need all that extra white space, but maybe you do. You need a little bit just to write any notes, any annotations. You can have that in there. You can also rotate it if you'd like. But once you have it cropped to exactly how you want it to be, so hit the little checkbox or the check mark in the upper right-hand corner here. And this is how you begin setting your scale. You'll maneuver one end of the arrow here, and then you can maneuver the other one and just set a distance that I know I have a lot of clients that typically just use the doorways since those are typically the same distance everywhere. If you don't know, that's probably your best bet to go with. I did have someone ask me just recently if they had a legend that told them the scale was 1 inch is going to be 100 feet. Since you can't see the distance that is set between each of the red lines, I did tell them just mark an inch on the floor plan, see that, and then set your arrows right there. But this is setting your scale for the entire survey that you have. So once you hit set, then you could say you can do feet, metric measurements, but you just set it. Maybe we want to go, this is about 8 feet. You can also change that element icon size from here as well. So, so maybe it's a bit small, you can make it a bit bigger. Then you hit save. Now you're ready to go into your survey and begin placing elements. And then you can get right back in and start working.
Thanks for that, Jamel. We do have another question. Is System Surveyor available on web and tablet in case I need to work from my office or on site?
Absolutely. So I am currently on our web app, and what David was showing earlier is the tablet app that we have. So you just go into the App Store, or if you're using iOS or wherever you are getting your apps from, type in System Surveyor and the app should pop up. You can just download it right to your tablet. And then just going to systemsurveyor.com, which I have open another tab here, and hitting login, that will then take you to the web app. So you can begin working on your work from your PC, from your laptop, wherever you need to work. You will want to make sure that you are syncing any work you do on your tablet. You want to make sure you sync that to the web. And I know you might have missed it, but it was on David's screen just for a little bit. There'll be a little cloud with an arrow. You hit that, it'll ask you, do you want to release the edit? And that's how you say yes, no, whatever you choose. It'll then sync it to our cloud and it'll appear on your web app. So that way, next time you log in, you'll be able to see it, get right back to going into work, or any of your other coworkers can get started on it. I know David mentioned that one of his project managers already had it up. So that way, save some time, helps ease that collaboration strain.
Primary benefit of the tablets is the data collection, because the built-in camera, it's easy to carry around and walk the site bed. Once you've done the data collection and synced it, you can go back and sit at your desktop, your mouse and keyboard, and get the rest of your stuff there. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's
All right.
exactly it.
We have another one. What are the resolution ranges on the GANS cameras offered?
Oh,
I'll pass that over to Brian.
Appreciate it. So the analog cameras are average 1080p. We do have some 4K, basically 8 megapixel cameras available in the analog, but majority of them will go to 1080p or the 8 megapixel 4K. Actually, I might take that back. I think we may actually offer a 5 megapixel in the analog as well. On the IP side, we do offer from 1080p all the way up to 4K resolution. So 1080p, 4 megapixel, 5 megapixel, and 8 megapixel in that range.
Perfect. Okay, and this
See, a
one is
couple more
for you.
questions that followed in there on the GANs. Well, if you have, are they hybrid? Yes, they are. You can do IP or analog on your encoder of recorders.
Oh, yep.
And
Our DVRs.
VMS works with more cameras than GANs.
Yeah, VMS is basically agnostic when it comes to cameras. So we support over 15,000 devices. It's from over 190 manufacturers. So Windows platform, pop it on there. As long as your hardware meets the spec requirement, you're off and running.
So you have another one about NDAA compliant?
Yes, we have IP cameras that are NDAA. We have some that are not, as non-government customers aren't too concerned generally between NDAA and non-NDAA. The majority of our recorders are as well. Also the same on the analog side of things. The VMS is what I call the VMS NDAA plus, because the Quattro VMS has the option to not install any non-NDAA drivers upon first-time installation. So it'll go one step further than just standard NDAA in that regards.
Alrighty, we have one for you, Jamel. Do you need Wi-Fi to use System Surveyor? A lot of times on site, we don't have Wi-Fi.
So on the mobile app, you do not need, or on the tablet app, I should say, you do not need Wi-Fi. just you will either need to have the floor plan that you're going to use on your tablet already, or if you get that set in place before you head out to your job site. That's what I encourage a lot of our clients to do. Just get everything prepped and ready, so when you're on the site, you can just hit the ground running and get right into it. But do not fear, it will save everything. All the work you do will save without being connected to the internet. You'll be good to go. And then once you do get that internet connection, again, like I mentioned earlier, you just sync it to the cloud and you'll get all that work right on the web app as well, so everybody else can see it.
And it's worked that way since day one. It's always been no requirement for network connectivity to collect the data, just network connectivity to push it up the cloud so that you can access it everywhere. But you can keep it on the tablet forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, looks like we got here's a good one. Gun recognition analytics in our VMS. We work with technology partners. One of our technology partners, which is a company called Actuate, they actually have gun detection analytics, which will work with our VMS. And we can always provide context to that afterwards.
The other question.
All righty, any more questions before we switch over to the next slide and go over our manufacturer's page? Feel free to keep asking them while Jamel goes over our partners page.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mindy, if you'll click on that first link, just to show the partners page, and we'll come back and go over the Ganz Direct landing page, which I think is pretty awesome. So our partners page is essentially where you can go to download the element profiles from that all of our manufacturing partners have provided. And if you'd like, Mindy, I can also share. I have it pulled up here. Perfect. Let me share.
While you're doing that, Jamel, we do have a couple more questions here. Is there a way to differentiate element counts, i.e. fixed camera that's 5 MP / 2.8 mm from a fixed camera that's 8 MP?
So we do have a element count report that you can pull. For the moment, I'm not 100% sure that it will differentiate between what each actual fixed camera element is, but I'll have to get with our support and double check that.
All right.
So when you go to systemsurveyor.com to get to the partners page, it'll just be under partners, available manufacturer catalogs. And this has, of course, all of our different manufacturing partners that we have. You can simply click on it. It'll take you to their web drive that they're using to store these element profiles. And you can simply find one that you need. Maybe you need the fixed camera elements, and you just download. It'll pop up, and then you can, of course, open it and make sure everything's correct. Maybe you want to make some adjustments for how you are going to be running the cameras, or I know we talked about it earlier. Maybe you want to add in the price, and so that way it's your MSRP. You can put that in, save it, and then import it into your System Surveyor. We do have support articles that help with that, or you can always reach out to our support. We're always there to help. But if you have any manufacturers that you want to include in here, we always encourage everybody to, there's a form down here that you can fill out, and our marketing team will reach out to them, try and get them to become one of our partners. And I know on the slide, there was another page that links directly to the Ganz landing page. So I'll show you that here. This is what that will look like. So it's just a quick way to get started. If you're looking for a free account, you can absolutely sign up here. And then, as you say, once you sign up, you will receive a 10% off discount code. And then it links you, it helps you walk through downloading the Ganz catalog files that we have, and then also importing them right into System Surveyor. So a very helpful landing page here to help get you started with System Surveyor. So we do have another question.
Mhm.
So you have a smoke/CO combination icon. Oftentimes I have to put a smoke and CO as separate icons, and it takes up too much space on the drawing. I can't say for sure if we have that icon, but what I recommend, if it is taking up too much space, each of these system types does have along the bottom have a general assembly and like a general component. Some have general software. You can take that general assembly and drop it wherever you need those two icons, and then drop those two icons inside, since it is going to be a container. So that way you won't have to worry about taking up too much space. So that's just one thing I have now. But I have your name, so I will I'll go through, see if we have a combination icon, and get back to you. But if not, what I can do is I'll bring that up to our product team and have them add it to the list of icons that we need to get added into System Surveyor. Will a copy of this meeting be made available? I'd like to share with the rest of our company. I don't want to speak for the marketing team, but I want to say yes, they should be sending an email out to everyone that attended and everyone that signed up with both the link to the recording. And is there any other links that will be in that email? Mary, am I missing anything?
Yeah, you'll usually get an email from me, usually by the end of the day, with a video for reference of today's webinar, and then a few other fun links. And all of our webinars, including previous, are on demand on our website as well, under our resource center, right? So you're able to go there and look at previous ones and the one from today as well.
Well, I'll stop sharing now. I think that, do we have anything else? I want to say that wraps it up for us. If there's no more questions.
Yeah, well, thank you all for joining us today. Like I said, you'll get an email from me at the end of the day. And yeah, and Brian and David, thank you all for joining as well. It was a pleasure. And Jamel, thank you for all of your help.
Thank you.
Of course. My pleasure.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Take
Have
care.
a good one. Bye-bye.